we're going to have our traditions of tribes. First off, Nkembe Ngochi's not feeling too well. Get well soon, man. Be strong. Drink a lot of water, as I always say. But today we're talking about the Ekpe. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. Ekpe. Robert, is it Ekpe or Ekpe? Ekpe. Because Robert is from that area. He should know best. Ekpe. Secret Society is a multi-ethnic, all-male group in southeastern Nigeria and western Cameroon. Established to regulate the community, uphold the legal decisions of the Council of Elders. It's also there to ensure conformity in certain rituals and social behavior. So in Traditions of Tribes today, thanks to Nkembe Ngochi, he paints a realistic picture of the Ekpe secret society. And why am I saying a realistic picture? Because very often when people talk about that secret society, they say it's a sect, it's a cult, that it's dangerous, and people are afraid of it. But most often we're afraid of what we don't understand. And through Traditions of Tribes today, we get to understand this secret society.
The Ekpe Society represents an ancient African institution that had provided the supreme functions of governance in the communal societies of the forest regions of the Cross River Basin and the hilly terrain to the east. With the colonial intervention in the late 19th century, the emergence of modern individualism and Western political systems tended to ignore the important roles which Ekpe played in the past, leading in some cases to its condemnation as a primitive institution that should be forgotten in the light of monotheism.
Ekpe goes back to more than 2,000 years, and it was an instrument of governance in Manu society. It was the same among the Balondo, among the Effiks in Nigeria, and also among the Igbos. They also have their own version of Ekpe. Ekpe, as I said, was an instrument for social governance. Ekpe indicated spelled out the rules and regulations that governed members of the society. So discipline in Ekpe has been something very important. Now, during the slave trade, and as you probably know, the port of Calabar in Nigeria was the main port from which most people from West and Central Africa were taken to the New World, to the US, to Brazil and other places. And so among those who were taken were Manu people and Balondo people and the Effiks who were members of Ekpe. So when they got to the New World, Ekpe was what enabled them to survive the oppression of the system of slavery. Ekpe gave them an identity, so they bonded together and resisted the inhumanity of the slave system. And the Spanish, in the case of Cuba, were very worried about that. They did everything to try to disband it because they saw it as a group of rebels. Unfortunately for the Spanish, the poor whites decided to join Ekpe. So instead of diminishing the influence of Ekpe, Ekpe was actually gained ground in Cuba. So there is no aspect of Cuban life that does not contain elements of Ekpe, or Abakua as they called it in that area. I wanted to also insist on the fact that Ekpe today also exists in the province of Bahia in Brazil. We have Ekpe in Equatorial Guinea. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. And I think what is important to underline is the fact that after more than 200 years, this social group, this cultural aspect of Manu division is still thriving in the New World. What this means is simply that this is a resilient culture.
Membership in the Ekpe Society is available to men who can meet the expenses involved. However, not all applications are accepted.
To become a member of Ekpe, one has to be, first of all, you have to show the interest. You have to show the interest. A member within your family, for example, one family may decide to initiate one into Ekpe. but one may also decide for one's own personal reasons to join ECPE. I need to say though that not everyone who applies to be a member of ECPE is accepted, because part of the strength of ECPE is its ability for its members not to divulge information to non-ECPE members.
Many years have gone by and the context is no longer the same, yet the symbolism, values and gender dynamics of the ECPE society remain intact.
You know that the ECPE society is the legacy of the Manyuman and the people from the entire Cross River, because the days that ECPE was in function until today still in function, there was no Manu division, there was no Indian division, there was no Nigeria. So ECPE had existed prior to this division. So that's why we have one common unit called ECPE. And wherever you are in the world, once they say ECPE, you know what it means. It's a system of governance. So I'm elated to be a Sisiku in ECPE. A Sisiku is like the high priest of ECPE, the one who has the total knowledge of ECPE and who keeps the total knowledge and sacredcy of ECPE. So ECPE is sacred. It's not a sacred society, it is a sacred society, meaning that it has some religiosity in ECPE. That's why I said a while ago that the Bible has 10 commandments, but ECPE has more than 1,000 commandments.
The dispersal of ECPE members within Africa and the Americas demonstrates its relevance to contemporary community relations in all regions where ECPE tradition has been sustained, such as Cameroon, Cuba, Equatorial Guinea, Nigeria, and most recently, the USA.
If you look at the Cubans, they understand the ECPE language, both the verbal and the signs, the Siberian. So when they come down, we look at, is it the Jagam, is it a foot, is it Kenyan that they are speaking? Because the African Cubans, they mix Spanish and ECPE language. So we do all those interpretations to actually be sure that what they are talking about is within our own culture.
Some say it's a cult, others say it's a secret society where evil reigns. This begs the question, is the ECPE society a place to be?
ECPE is a group which brings people together to see how best society should be organized. And when people talk of it in terms of the secret society, the tendency is to see it in terms of evil. A society that is not out for the good of people, but ECPE is everything except that. And I think the Christian missionaries are one of the biggest mistakes they made. All right? It was felt that if you are in ECPE, then you have signed a pact with the devil. This, of course, is not true. ECPE, if anything, teaches people how to be good citizens within their country, within their various communities. And as it pointed out, the interesting thing is that normally, whether one is initiated into ECPE or not, but everyone is affected by the decision that ECPE takes. Because in a village, once an idea is agreed upon, ECPE takes it over. And ECPE now enforces that decision on everyone, irrespective of whether they are ECPE members or not.
It is hoped that the ECPE Secret Society, one of the oldest regulatory societies within the cultural homogeneous cross-river basin of present-day Cameroon and Nigeria, will be recognized as a UNESCO cultural heritage in a not-too-distant future.
Thank you very much, Nkembe Ngochi. When we talk of secret societies, I think of the Takumbeng Women's Secret Society from the Northwest region as well. And also the Nyongo Society, started with the Sawas and now even attached to a Wimbum people. Very often when we hear of these secret societies, it's frightening to many. Is it a cult? Should we be afraid? Should we run away? But hopefully this enlightenment that Nkembe Ngochi has given you on traditions of tribes makes you calm down. Because very often we're afraid of our own culture because it's distant. We are not conscious of it. We don't understand it. We refuse to understand it. We prefer to learn the culture of another even better than our own. That's why every Tuesday we have traditions of tribes, and we try to elevate what's ours without, and most importantly, demystifying it.